So it's one thing to look at two voices and try and figure out what the motion is between those two voices, but typically you're going to find that it's going to happen in a three, usually four voice texture. So you're going to have to divide up the voices into pairs and take a look at how each set of voices interact. So what I mean by that is you'll need to look how the bass interacts with the tenor and how the bass interacts with the alto and then also with the soprano, and then the tenor, how it interacts with the alto, and how the alto interacts with the tenor in some sort of order that way so that you pretty much hit every possible combination. So let's take a look at what you can find here. So the five types, again, parallel, which is motion where the voices go in the same direction in the exact same distance. So both voices move by major second in the same direction, for example. Oblique is where one voice stays static and the other voice moves. Contrary is when both voices move in opposite direction. Similar means that both voices move in the same direction, but not necessarily the same distance. And actually not necessarily the same distance. It's not the same distance. One is moving by a third, for example, while the other is moving by, I don't know, a second or something. And static is where neither voice changes. They don't move. Okay? So pause the video right now and see if you can figure out what each of the voices, each pairs of voices are doing. So bass and tenor, bass and soprano, bass and alto, bass and soprano, and tenor and then alto, and tenor and soprano, and then alto and soprano. Those are the possible combinations. See if you can figure out. So I'll let you pause. Okay, now that you've tried to figure out what the motion is between all of the sets of voices, let's see if we can take a look. So between the bass and the tenor, we have the bass moving up in one direction and the tenor moving down in another direction. So this is considered contrary motion between the bass and the tenor. Now, between the bass and the alto voice, we have contrary motion again. Oops. We have contrary motion again because the alto is moving down and the tenor is and the bass is moving up. And then if we look at between the soprano and the bass, the soprano is moving up and so is the bass. They're going in the same direction but different intervals. The soprano is moving up by step while the bass is leaping up. And so that's considered similar motion between the soprano and the bass. Between the tenor and the alto, they're moving in the same direction but different intervals, so we have similar motion again. And then between the tenor and the soprano, they're moving in opposite directions, so that is, of course, contrary motion. Finally, between the alto and the soprano, we have the alto moving down, and we have the soprano moving up by step. So again, we have contrary motion. So those are the five types, and we didn't hit them all. We didn't get any oblique, and we didn't get any static motion. So you're not necessarily going to get all the types when you compare the different sets of voices in your typical four-part texture. Hopefully that helps.